Hey, y'all, welcome back to Red at the Wire. Well, as part of our Breeders' Cup Division Series, today we're going to be looking at the Filly Mare Turf, which looks to be a really contentious race. So let's take a look at it. So here's the field for the Filly Mare Turf, and you can see we have quite a few potential international competitors, and we've got a couple over here already, Fev Rover and Divya, but the big ones that we really want to would really make a huge difference in this race are Inspiral and Warm Heart in particular, or Songline. Those three, if we get any one of those, I think this becomes a really tough race for the Americans. Otherwise, perhaps we have a shot, but that's the field. So the first three we're going to look at right in the E.P. Taylor Stakes up at Woodbine, and that's a grade one for those of you who don't know. Fev Rover is the first, and he's trained by Mark Cassie, who straddles both countries, Canada and the U.S., know him well. And this one has been, the rap on him has been he's kind of a cut below some of the other grade ones. But this is two solid stakes races in a row for this one. I always thought this one has a pretty good amount of talent. And I think under the right circumstances, getting on the engine could very well compete, depending on what In Italian does. If In Italian goes to the mile, then Fev Rover would be one that would be pretty tough on the front end to stop. With the Moonlight is a Charlie Appleby, William Buick, killer combination, Godolphin. This one has been, I think, is sort of on his JV. I've never really been overly impressed with this one. And I think because of the connections, it's probably going to take a lot of money. Did get second in the E.P. Taylor, but I don't know. To me, I just haven't been as impressed with this one as some of the other Applebys. And then Wara, the Canadian horse, she's a really nice filly, and the fact that she's run against the boys quite a bit. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she won the Queen's Plate as a filly. Don't hold me to that. But X-Men Racing, Kevin Attard, Rafael Hernandez, those connections have a couple potential entrants. Kevin Attard's a nice trainer from Canada, does very well. And this is a nice horse. So maybe just a cut below some of the more prominent Europeans, but one that we would have to pay attention to. I think this one's coming into the race with a lot of class and could factor underneath, probably more likely. So let's take a look at the E.P. Taylor Stakes. So this is the E.P. Taylor Stakes, and for reference, we've got Fev Rover on the rail in the 1 hole. We've got In the Moonlight, With the Moonlight in the 4 hole, and Moira in the 6 hole. So let's see how they did.
All in, locked up, off they run. And as they break, well. Nice beginning. Fev Rover on the inside.
Keen,
away very sharply. Rocky Sky makes a beeline for the lead on the outside.
Rocky Sky, the familiar Peter Brandt Silks. He's kind of on Jad Brown's JV.
Who's gone to third on the outside.
Kind of flashed a little bit of talent here and there, but
Amazing Grace on the rail. A length behind them, Aspen Grove. 1.5 to Moira. The outside of Consumer Spending. Back second last to
Skims, Shug McGahee horse, and Amazing Grace.
String out over about 10 lengths. And Fev Rover shows the way. Fev Rover by about a half.
If you had to knock this race for one thing, it's kind of ripe with underachievers to a degree.
A length and a half away, Amazing Grace on the inside, followed by Aspen Grove.
So you see with the Moonlight just rating off Fev Rover.
4 or 5 lengths away came Atomic Blonde, and the trailer remains California Queen, but out in front, Fev Rover. Out in the lead by about a long neck to Rocky Sky. A couple away in third placing Skims. Moving forward is With the Moonlight, handy in fourth. 1 to Amazing Grace, scraping the hedge, and behind them came Aspen Grove. Moira's about 6 off the pace. On the inside, Consumer Spending. 3.5 to Atomic Blonde, and 5 away last California Queen. They sprint off with Rocky Sky going to the front. Into second Skims, they head to the half mile. Fev Rover's backing into into third. Coming forward is With the Moonlight, and running home is
interesting,
Moira
Feb
down on the
Rover giving up
outside.
the lead like
Amazing
that,
Grace
but,
the rail. Back in the center is
obviously
Aspen Grove. 3
it,
lengths away, Consumer Spinning.
she
and
just
then
ran a
Atomic Blonde
race.
and California
Basically,
Queen. Rocky Sky pressured.
That's it.
On the outside Skims. Fev
You
Rover
see
starting
Moira
to come back
after
with the
rating
Moonlight
mid-pack,
3 wide. And now
tipping
Moira
out to
right
make
off
a
the
move.
track coming after
So you got all
of them.
three.
And here comes Moira.
To see
right
who's better.
down the
They're all in
extreme
perfect
outside.
position.
About 5 across the track. Fev Rover's rebounded and gone to the front and got clear. Moira down the outside giving chase.
And I don't know what that
And back
says
in
if
third
a
is
horse
With
is
the
able
Moonlight.
to
On
rebound
the
like
inside,
that.
Fev Rover
But
right down the outside with the Moonlight and
showing a
Moira.
lot of grit,
But it
I
is
think.
Fev Rover flying through on the inside.
And he did
And
no
Fev
excuses for any of them. I think they
Rover
all
proving
ran
much
good
the best in the
races.
EP Taylor
It's
Stakes.
just
And
Fev Rover
absolutely
was
relished the
better.
ground.
That's
Fev
really the
Rover
bottom
wins
line
2.5
to it.
With the
But
Moonlight. Moira was
all
third,
three,
back in
solid
fourth,
effort.
Skims, followed
Closing
by
into a slow
California
pace.
Queen.
That's
2:4:20.
it's not bad. Next couple we're going to talk about are ones that recently ran in the First Lady Stakes at Keeneland. And Gina Romantica would be the first, and A-Level Connections, Peter Brandt, Chad Brown, Tyler Gaffalione on turf. Enough said. This is an improving sort, and coming into the First Lady, I really like this horse because you could see that the light bulb had really gone off. This one had been kind of up and down a little bit, but in the last couple races has really shown signs that she's ready to take the next step. So I think Gina Romantica is one that not to be underestimated amongst all the more prominent horses in this race. And beat In Italian, and who was in that race, and we all know what she can do. Finished second in last year's Filly Mare Turf. She will definitely be on the engine, a pace presence. The question is whether they're going to send it to the mile or the Filly Mare Turf. A-Level Connections again. I kind of get the feeling that she may have lost a step. I just getting the sneaky feeling because she's had 2 seconds in a row, and both times she was caught, and that just didn't happen before. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe they're going to put her in the mile just because it's less distance and maybe a little easier trip for her. We'll have to see, but certainly one that you have to consider because on her best day, she's definitely a prime contender in this race. So let's take a look at the First Lady Stakes. So let's take a look at the First Lady Stakes at Keeneland.
And they're off
And
to the First
In
Lady.
Italian isn't hard to spot. There she is, number 3, going right to lead, and you get Gina Romantica down on the rail, saving all the ground.
In Italian starts to move up with the lead into the first turn. This name is okay.
Now, Chad Brown had 3 horses in this race, and it seems to be a pattern. A lot of times it's the horse you least expect to win it from his group, who normally does. And the theory here was that Gina Romantica kind of needs this one a little bit more to get into the Breeders' Cup than perhaps White Beam or In Italian. Nonetheless, I thought she ran a really good race to catch In Italian, who you can see on the front end loping along pretty easily. Reasonable fractions.
Just a length and a half off the lead. Then a gap of 2 more to Evie Jets, moves up 1 spot into 5th. Gina Romantica now responds to her inside, and Gam's Mission and New Year's Eve at the back. 46.8 seconds was the time.
A little quick there.
Mile. Onto the far turn in Italian. A lane
See,
off
now
the
it's
rail,
starting to
has
quicken,
the lead by
and
the length. Jumbly tries
she's
to
looking
move up
awful
on
good.
the
And at this point, normally, this is where In Italian just blows them away. Nobody comes and gets her, but White Beam was able to do it the time before this, and now you got Gina Romantica tips out, 3 wide. White Beam having a little bit of trouble down on the rail, but that opens things up. There's Gina Romantica. Heavy Jet's another one, really. Since they've taken her back, has really improved. But you see, Gina Romantica just had enough to get up at the wire, and maybe In Italian wasn't tuned up all the way, but that is the second time this has happened, so you do have to wonder. Next 3 we'll look at are all potential European imports. They all ran in the Prix de l'Opera, which is a pretty significant turf race at Longchamp this time of year. The first is Lumiere Rock. I saw this one at Ascot and didn't do bad. Trained by Joseph O'Brien, that's Aiden's son, and he got a 3rd. We'll see that in a second. The next is, excuse me, back that up. The next is El Hussein. I suppose that's how you pronounce it. And he's owned by Shadwell, and that's as we know, it's a Godolphin offshoot and a pretty significant faction. We see a lot of them in the States. Trained by Roger Varian and Jim Crowley, who's a really nice jockey over in Europe. And he got fourth. State Occasion is Eclipse Partnership, and Ralph Beckett's a nice trainer over in England. And I think if we see this one, then we should assume that there's some pretty good intent. So let's take a look at the Prix de l'Opera. So here's the Prix de l'Opera, and we'll try to point them out to you as we go. Of course, you know, post positions don't mean much in European races because they have two numbers, the program and the post. So you've got El Hussein there out on the right, moving towards the middle, and the Shadwell Silks and Lumiere Rock just to his left, and State Occasion a little far back. Looks like he's number 4 there. Going through the forest here. You see, they're all off to the right side, which is always interesting, the configurations that end up these race shapes. Lumiere Rock right up on the lead, and El Hussein and State Occasion both just traveling, rating off the lead. El Hussein looks like he's probably going to have to work out a little bit of a trip.
Then comes Muskoka against the running rail in dark green and white, in grey jacket, Excellent Truth, one of the ones widest on the course. Darkaneer's a half length behind her. Rogue Millennium is next against the rail. Jana Rose on the right in the black and red has just moved ahead of Stay Alert in the yellow and blue.
Staying pretty much in order, nobody really moving yet, as is normally the case. Should be fanning out pretty soon.
Showing out in front to Jackie O in second place. Al Hussein and Blue Rose Sen together, 3 and 4.
Blue Rose Sen is a monster, by the way, and if she comes over, look out. And here we go. This is where the running's going to start.
Yellow and blue are still at the rear of the field. Blue Rose Sen called upon for an effort, only in 4th place at the moment.
All fanned out. Moving along pretty well. State Occasion needs to get going a little bit more.
These are followed by Muskoka over towards the running rail as now Blue
Lumiere
Rose
Rocket hanging right in there.
Jackie O is fighting back at her. Blue Rose Sen though is asserting from Jackie O, and Blue Rose Sen has won another group up.
Blue Rose Sen is a pretty awesome horse. Like I said, if she comes over, it will likely be for the turf, I believe, but pretty nice horse. Next couple Europeans we're going to look at ran in the Sun Chariot Stakes, which is part of Champions Day at Newmarket, and it's a pretty significant race, led by Inspiral, who is just an awesome filly. She had a really long layoff prior to Royal Ascot in June, and came back and got a pretty good second, and has really been on a roll since. And if she comes over, she'd have to be considered the favorite, I believe, in the Filly Mare Turf. And also is Marquise de Sèvres, I hope that's how I pronounce it, and you're owned by Baron Rothschild. You don't see too many of his. Trained by Andre Fabre. He is always dangerous when he brings horses in for the Breeders' Cup. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on, and ran second in the Sun Chariot. So let's take a look at that. So this is the Sun Chariot Stakes, and Inspiral is in the red with the white sash, number 3, and Marquise de Sèvres is in post number 7. He's in the blue silks with the yellow cap. And you can see it's a small field, and I think that indicates more that nobody's too keen on going against Inspiral. Usually when you see a smaller field, that's the case, same as in the States.
Roman Mist was away alertly.
You can see Inspiral just covered up down on the rail, and Marquis de Sèvres right next to her.
In the very early stages, Meditate is the one who gets the lead.
Shadowing each other, you probably think Marquis de Sèvres, they want to just not get too far away from Inspiral.
And it's Heredia who is at the back of the field. They've completed their first quarter of a mile, and it's Roman Mist who has got the lead in the centre of the course.
It's Peter Brandtsilk, so he had a European horse.
Meanwhile, leading the two over on the far
perhaps.
side is Random Harvest, who's a length and a half in front of Goldana. Still Heredia towards
Saw
the rear of the field
earlier
together
in the year, I
with
believe.
Coffis. They come towards the halfway point in the 58th running of the Sun
You
Chariot
see, in Spiral,
Stakes,
keen to
and
get
it's Roman
going,
Mist who
not going to
still
waste
has the lead.
time.
Roman Mist now by half a length.
And Marquis de Savant falling back a little bit, probably needs to kick it into gear.
Has switched in Spiral to challenge right up against that far side rail, and in Spiral has travelled well into the race towards the near side. Meditate is driven
Spiral,
to
it's all over but the shouting, it looks like now. And Marquis de Savant's picking it up.
Final quarter of a mile, it's in Spiral, and Fragitatori have got the lead down into the dip. In Spiral's lead is 3 lengths over Heredia in second, Marquesa de Sevigné. But now as they meet the rising ground, it's in Spiral who is cleared by 3, Marquesa de Sevigné, and then Heredia. But it's 500
Not
wins for
just
Frankie
completely
Dettori,
hand-ridden.
and
Frankie
Newmarket,
Dettori,
as Spiral wins
another one.
the Sun Chariot.
Pretty
Marquesa
awesome
Sevigné,
horse.
and then Heredia next.
One we'll look at is the Argentinian import Didia, who has been over in the States for a while here and really of late just seems to be getting better and better. Nacho Correas has got a good one here, and Vincent Cheminot, they've been a really good jockey-trainer combination of late in particular. And this one was out in the Rodeo Drive Stakes out at Santa Anita, and of course has some familiarity with the track, and that's pretty important. And this one might be a sleeper and could probably it's going to have to take another step forward to deal with the Europeans, but is one I think we want to keep an eye on. So let's take a look at the Rodeo Drive. So this is the Rodeo Drive Stakes, and you can see it's at 1.25 miles, and the good significant distance as a prep.
And they're off in the Rodeo Drive.
You see Didia's towards the inside there. The outside, I'm sorry. Number 6, I believe.
And Turner Loose will establish the pace, bearing out just a touch, crossing the
Always
dirt.
interesting, they have to cross over the dirt, and I believe they're going to have to do that in the Filly Mare Turf. And I know sometimes just the ones that have a little dirt experience, sometimes they can take use it tactically to get a bit of a jump. It's kind of interesting like that, but for now, we'll take a look at Didia, just mid-pack. Good position. Turner Loose trying to get away and setting soft fractions right now.
And Didia right next to one another. Another couple back to juncture. The 2 trailers remain Neige Blanche and Symphony Perfect. They move on to the
Juncture put a good race together in this one, as I recall, and a bit of a disappointing horse for Brad Cox, but finally put a decent effort together. Anisette has been pretty well thought of, and she was a tad disappointing in this one, I think.
2 more to Symphony Perfect with less than a half mile to go in the Rodeo Drive. And Stoic Luna has now taken the lead from Turner Loose, who's a neck.
And these are 3-year-olds we have to remember, so pretty tall order going against older for the Breeders' Club for Didia. Looking good here. Perfect position, ready to pounce.
She'll have to chase down Didia as the field turns for home. Didia gets the jump on the outside. Stoic Luna, closing remarks along the inside, and Anisette is cut loose between rivals. Juncture on the outside, but Didia has opened up a 2-length lead. Juncture and Anisette are both chasing. Didia length and a half.
And she just, boom, pushes the button and gone.
Didia wins the Rodeo Drive with plenty left in the tank.
Hell yes.
Fired, but was
looking pretty good there.
Then it was Juncture in third. Neige Blanche and closing remarks battled it out for 4th.
Songline is the Japanese import, and this is one we really got to pay attention to. This is a really nice mare. She's got you see, $6 million in earnings. So this one is definitely a serious player here. Just ran in the Manichi Oken and got a 2nd. So let's take a look at that and see what her form looks like going into the Breeders' Cup. So this is the Manichi Okan, and there are 3 horses with similar silks, but Songline is to the outside in the black and yellow sleeves.
2番手は
you see
5
the
番
Japanese
バ
way
ビッ
they
ト
do
に
it,
な
they
って3
pan
番
all
手
the
は
way
2番のエアン
across.
第2コーナーを回って向
So
上面です
you got to look at all the
その後ろに
horses, and
6番エルト
I
ン・バ
wish
ロー
they'd
ズ
keep that
並んで9番
shot
バラ
up on
ジ
the top so
外
you
から上が
can
っていく
follow
11
it a
番フ
little
ェイングロッ
better.
テンですそして10番ソングラインは中段あとは
Number 10
直
is
後に3
Songline, I
番ノースター
believe.
ワールド並んでいく12番デュ
right
ガ
about
さらには
mid-pack.
11番シュネルマイスターは後方3馬身離れて4番アドマイヤ・ハダル最後方2馬身差8番ジャスティン・カフェ後方待機です向こう上面の中ほど先頭7番のウィンカーネリアンリードは2馬身ほど単独2番手5番バビットになって3コーナーのカーブです残り 1000m 上がっていった
So pretty well strung
11番
out.
フェイングロッテン3番手から2番手を伺ってさあ前3頭半馬身間隔34コーナー中間
Songline
4番手
staying
は
about
2番
mid-pack.
エイアンです最初の 1000m59秒5の通過その後ろ6番エルトン・バローズ上がっていった12番デューガですさあ4コーナーカーブに向かって10番ソングラインは中段
Top of the turn.
そして
Here we
1番シュネ
go.
ルマイスターは後方から3投目4コーナーを回って直線に向いています先頭は7番のウィンカーネリアンリードは体半分キープ2番手は5番バビットその後ろから接近するのは2番エイアン12番デュガさあ10番ソングラインはどうか馬群の中その後ろに1番シュネルマイスターは遅れているさあ先頭を粘っている7番ウィンカーネリアン並んで6番エルトン・バローズ200を切って今度は先頭に変わった
It's almost like you waited a little while to get her engaged, but once she gets going, watch that. Look at that
エル
kick.
トン・バローズ4番アドマイヤ・ハダル間から10番ソングラインシュネルマイスター広がった激戦だ4頭広がって
Just
ゴール
missed. What a
こ
race.
の激戦体制は
Warm Heart is trained by Aidan O'Brien and Magnier Tabor, the Sangsters Gangsters owns, and as we know, they're a powerhouse in Europe. And James Doyle, the jockey, this is a horse who's been getting progressively better and is really one to watch out for. The Prix Vermeil is a pretty significant race at Longchamp, and we're going to take a look at that now. Let's see how Warm Heart did. So let's have a go at the Prix Vermeil, and Warm Heart is in the pink, I believe, and all the way to the right there.
It was from the outside, but as they get going above the curve in the pink colours on the extreme right, settles in behind Ponce du Jour, who stays a little wide. The grey is Mellow on the extreme left. Blue Rose Sen is the blue and white colours, sort of screen centre at the moment. It looks like she's about fourth. Dark blue jacket of Warm Heart is behind those.
Okay, I was wrong. Sorry. Dark blue jacket, Warm Heart.
Very pale jacket.
The Magnier Tabor have a lot of different silks, and so yeah, it's the old blue, all navy there, right, covered up mid-pack.
Crown Princess. Ponce du Jour settles down to make the pace then, leading over the pink jacket of Above the Curve, who's around about a length behind her.
Just sitting chilling. Running against Blue Rose Sen, this is significant. Like I mentioned earlier, Blue Rose Sen's a monster, so
the outside of Warm Heart in the dark blue.
It's a good
Behind
test.
those is Rue Boissonade, who now races by the looks of it fractionally ahead of Mellow, who's been dropped back against the running rail to be two from the rear of the field. Sea Silk Road in the yellow is next, and going now around the outside of her.
They're just covered up, going to have to find a way.
So making their way down past halfway and already
See,
on
already
the way
trying to get out.
Ponce du Jour, a little over a length ahead, Above the Curve running in second. Then Warm Heart and Blue Rose Sen race virtually stride for stride in third and fourth places.
He definitely doesn't want to get away from Blue Rose Sen to have any chance. And it's keeping Warm Heart to the inside, so tactically it's a good little move. It's going to be hard for him to get free.
So heading off towards the home turn.
And then Noah's Ark formation 2x2.
In front, a little over a length ahead. Above the Curve in second position, continues to shadow her. Warm Heart and Blue Rose Sen
starting to quicken. Here we go.
Places, and
got free. Nice move there.
Continues to be in front here by about 2 lengths.
Got a little jump on Blue Rose Sen.
Off the rails is coming through with a challenge to go past Above the Curve. Behind those is Blue Rose Sen.
There it is.
Mellow, the grey down the outside, coming with
Look
a
at that
challenge
kick.
as they head down towards the last 200 metres.
Still got a little green though.
It's coming home strongly. Warm Heart is battling on with her though. It'll between this pair. Warm Heart in the dark blue colours and James Doyle have won. Mellow be beaten about a neck in second.
Pretty nice win. No easy feat to beat Blue Rose Sen, as I mentioned, so we got to watch out for this one if he comes over. Mikulik is from the American Power Turf Syndicate, Klarovich Stables, Chad Brown, and Rad Ortiz basically owned Saratoga this last meet. McCulloch, the word is the longer the better for this one. So in running in the Filly Mare Turf, believe it'll be at 1.5 miles. That's a perfect distance for McCulloch. Now, ran in the Wyeth Stakes last, and that is a grade 3, and it was a small field, and it was a bog at the Big A when they ran it. But I think the distance is definitely a plus for this one. Not sure is quite at the same par with Inspiral or some of the other top Europeans, but maybe one for under, given the fact that she relishes more ground. So let's look at the Wyeth. So here's the Wyeth Stakes, the Big A, and you can see it was a bog. It's raining that day, but as it has seemingly every weekend up north.
In the Wyeth Stakes. And from the inside, it is Idea Generation.
You got McCulloch there, number 5 on the right. See, it's a small field. My God, look at this pouring.
And Sister O'Toole is the early trailer in 4th as they begin the 11-furlong journey. Idea Generation leads here by a little more than 2 lengths. McCulloch and Parnack are right together, 2nd and 3rd, and Sister O'Toole is the trailer. They come into the stretch now for the first time, the opening quarter over the yielding turf in 25 seconds. Idea Generation sets the pace, leads by a length.
As we know, McCulloch can run fine on good or firm turf, so you're going to get that out in California. Shouldn't be a problem. I don't know that this the surface was an upgrade from McCulloch at all in this race.
Idea Generation in front here by 2. Parnack second by a head. McCulloch, the big favorite on the outside in 3rd.
Kind of hard to gauge
so positions
horses from these small fields, just because you don't get to really see tactically their preferred running style most of the time, especially if you're a late runner, because you got to be a little more forwardly placed.
And McCulloch is in 3rd, a half dozen lengths from the front. Sister O'Toole is 4th. Idea Generation, longest shot in the race, leads by almost 3. Parnack is 2nd by a length and a half, with McCulloch in 3rd and Sister O'Toole. Idea Generation, the lead is down to a length and a half, with Parnack getting closer, 3/4 up in 1:17 and 1. McCulloch runs in 3rd.
1:17, that's just glacial.
Running Idea Generation. Idea Generation by a length and a half, now by 2 again. Parnack is 2nd by a half length. Now McCulloch is asked to pick it up,
early on.
and she responds, quickly taking 2nd.
For the mile.
Sister O'Toole follows the move of McCulloch as the field hits the top of the stretch, and the stablemates are 1-2. Idea Generation on the inside, and McCulloch on the outside, with Sister O'Toole now in 3rd. Parnack is in 4th. It is Idea Generation, and McCulloch driving on the outside. Idea Generation and McCulloch, and now McCulloch takes the lead in deep stretch, and it will be McCulloch and Irad Ortiz Jr. to win the 20th running of the Wyeth Stakes.
Solid, but not spectacular. Now let's have a look at Lindy. Lindy is trained by Brendan Walsh and Tyler Gaffalione, as we know, just a red-hot combination. Brendan Walsh was very hot earlier in the year and still going along okay, but I think he's cooled off a bit, not quite as tarred as he was. But you see Lindy, hadn't really seen this one run before prior to the QE2, but you see is in the money 7 out of 8 times. So, and ran, I thought, a really solid race in the QE2, so let's take a look at it. So here's the QE2 Challenge Cup, and Lindy is number 6 in the Red Silks. And, of course, Maj, number 4, came over and had only run at straightaways before and only sprints. So this was a significant step up from what she normally has run, and acquitted herself very well, I thought. And could be a really serious contender in the mile or the turf, whichever they choose, wherever they choose to put her. And you see Lindy
up from 5th into the
towards the back, kind of covered up a little bit.
Toward the inside, moves up 1 spot from 5th. And further back, Lindy is in 7th. Liguria is 8th, outward from the rail, and that leaves room for Alunda Queen to move up one spot from last. 23.26 seconds the time for the opening quarter. Up the backstretch, Maj is the leader, over against the rail, leading at 3/4
Decent fractions, maybe a little on the quick side.
Is second by a length. And then Papilio outside of Mission of Joy, who's right there behind the leader against the rail in 4th, now taking 3rd by just ahead as they head for the far turn. And then Sounds of Heaven 5th between
covered
horses.
up, gonna need a hole.
Alunda Queen and Liguria. The first half mile, 47.72 seconds. On to the final turn.
Try to get off the rail here.
The leader by a half length. Elusive Princess is there in 2nd. Mission of Joy up close, 3rd.
Can't do it. It's going to stay inside.
Is 4th, 3 lengths off the lead.
You see, they've got a fair amount of horse there with Lindy.
In the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup presented by Dick Sienna.
None is really
and here's Elusive
tight,
Princess coming
in tight, got to get
Mission
free.
Of Joy
there it is.
Tries to find room between that pair. Maj has the lead. Mission of Joy 2nd. Elusive Princess 3rd. Lindy
a little
is
slow
up
to
4th,
engage, but showed a really good kick once Lindy got going.
Mission of Joy, then Lindy.
Look at that.
Lindy running on. Maj, Lindy trying. Here's the wire. Maj takes it.
Pretty solid effort
for O'Shane, Murphy, and Godolphin.
Next one we have is Kalina, who just ran in the Prix de la Forêt. That is a normal prep for the Turf Mile. In the past, Goldikova, I think, won it 3 times in a row, Gorella just come to mind. But it's a race normally set up for the mile. It's a short one. And you see Kalina is owned by Wertheimer and Frere. And it turned out to be a pretty good race. And let's take a look at it. So here's the Prix de la Forêt. And you see Kalina's on the outside in the Wertheimer and Frere silks, the blue with white piping there and the white cap. Kinross was in this as well, and we may see him in the or her in the Turf Mile. You see rating about mid-pack, covered up.
King Gold, Happy Romance Extra, and Should Have Been a Ring of the back markers. They're moving down the side of the course,
and really in a lot of traffic. They're going to have to find a way free.
In 2nd place, Brown Jacket, Brave Sky against the running rail, light blue, Cashing Green of Dubawa. Then in 6th position, Kalina in blue and white, so turn red and blue jacket, yellow sleeves as they have
Here we go into the stretch.
Straight Fang is behind this. Kinross will be off to the left to launch the challenge. Further behind these is King Gold and Extra and Happy Romance, and then comes Top Gear.
And still got an opening. Able to get free.
Kalina and National Service. Kinross under pressure. Should Have Been a Ring is behind those. King Gold is running on. Heading down now towards the last 200 metres. Kalina. Maxime Gill in the blue and white. Kinross has to switch there. Should Have Been a Ring up against the running well. Pogo behind those. Kalina in front.
And plenty in the stretch. Held on pretty well, but that is one turn, so we don't know for sure about the 2-turn form. We'll just have to see. The last one on the list is Win Maryland, and this is a Japanese import possibly. This one is interesting because I put down the Hong Kong Vase as the notable race, but that was last year, and this year really hasn't done a whole lot, which is kind of interesting that they're even considering the Breeders' Cup. She's been out of the money in 3 straight races. So the form really isn't terribly good coming into this race. We'll just have to see about the training and what they, if we can get any more intel on her. But right now, I don't. She's one of the few Japanese I really don't think that we want to pay a lot of attention to. So here's what our top prospects look like for the Filly Mare Turf, and in no particular order of ranking, but Inspiral is the top of the class, and if she does come over, she is the one to beat without question. Since coming off her long layoff, has just been impressing race after race, and I think this one will be the one to beat if she comes over. In Italian, I think has just lost a step, or those last 2 races just were a little troubling if you're a backer. Couldn't get the job done twice the same way, just couldn't finish. And that was at a mile, so you do have to wonder if maybe they're going to cut her back to the mile as a better distance for her at this point. But on her best day on the front end, she could be tough to beat. but we'll just have to see. Songline's got a monster kick, as we saw in the Japanese race last. She ran in the Okan. I thought the jockey timed it a little late, but still, there was a big kick there, and this is one that'll be dangerous if she comes over. Warm Heart is an improving 3-year-old on the upswing and has had a really nice season so far, and I think will be dangerous coming into this race. Beating Blue Rose Sen is not easy to do, so you have to take seriously any horse who can do it. From the Americans, Didia, although she is Argentinian, is another one steadily improving on the upswing. That's exactly what you want going into the Breeders' Cup. I think she's probably a cut below the better Europeans, but is coming into the race in good form, and you'll probably get a price, so one to think about mainly for the exotics, I think. And then Lindy, kind of the same thing. You note that she's in the money 7 out of 8 times, so she likes to compete. She showed a really big kick once they engaged her in the QE2 Challenge. Again, I thought they engaged her a little late, but she had plenty of leg, and at a longer distance, it might just be what the doctor ordered. And then we'll throw in Marquise de Sevigny, who ran second to Warm Heart, I believe it was, in the last race. And again, that's not an easy feat. So that's good company, and this is one that could surprise, and you're likely going to get a price. And a lot of times in the Breeders' Cup, it's these lesser-known or the more remote Europeans who come over who do surprise, and this one looks like has got some talent. So it's a pretty wide-open race. It'll all depend, of course, on what Europeans come over, or international, I should say. But right now, if In Spiral comes over, everybody's playing for second, in my opinion. So that's the Filly Mare Turf, and we'll just have to see what international horses come over. But particularly if In Spiral makes the scene, I think it's going to make for a really great race. And hopefully the Americans we can come up with something to rival them. But I think it's going to be a good race nonetheless. Hope this helps you with your own pregame analysis. And, of course, we'll have more postings for the rest of the division, so be on the lookout for those. And if you do like content like this, of course, please like and subscribe. And we do thank those of you who've recently come on board. Thanks for joining us, and looking forward to having you for the rest of the Thoroughbred season. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.